Hi, this is Christian Baxter, and you're listening to yours truly, a place we go to think out loud.
What's up? What's up? Let me know if you can hear me in the chat over here. Hope everyone's having a good night tonight. Not an ideal live streaming time, but what can you do? You can only do what you can do. If I've got somebody, let me know that my audio is working okay. Awesome. Thank you, Brian of College Station. So, tonight I wanted to kind of get some things out. I've been on spring break with the family, and I've got some stuff coming up on the channel, some stuff that's been out that I wanted to kind of share, wanted to promote, wanted to connect you guys to anybody that's paying attention. And we'll kind of get into the topic at hand after we kind of go through some of that. But while we're kind of just getting started here, just want to continue to welcome people as y'all show up. And we're going to do a little promotion here for Midwest Estuary. I'm going to Midwest Estuary in August. So if you are thinking about heading out there and you want to connect with me, I'll be there. And I'm excited. That's part of this relationality that we talk about here in the corner. Thank you, Ethan. Voice is sounding extra nice. So Midwest Estuary is coming up outside of Chicago in August. And I have been to Symbolic World. I have been to ARC. I have met all those people, but I have not. And at those places, like I met Grim Grizz at Symbolic World. I met Nate Heil from Grail Country there. At ARC, well, of course, that's where I met Paul Vanderklay in the flesh and some others. But those kind of represent like these different strata, and TLC, this corner of the internet, estuary culture, they coalesce around these. They've been over years. There was Chino, there was Thunder Bay. There's all these kind of stories that you can track down from people about these experiences in the past. And so then there was one in Olympia, Encountering Face to Face last fall. And this one coming up in Chicago is going to be a doozy. So, and I'm honored to be helping out with that a little bit in little ways that I can. So let's take a look at that.
Midwestuary 2025, August 22nd through the 24th in Elmhurst, Illinois. A weekend you won't want to miss, with special guests Cale Zeldin, Paul Vanderklay, Rod Dreer, Elizabeth Oldfield, John Vervaeke, and Jonathan Pajot. Midwestuary 2025, the Fellowship of the Spirit. Stay tuned for more details. Visit us at midwestuary.com for ongoing updates.
Yeah, it was exciting. Cale, he was on Benjamin Boyce Conversations just today, I think. And Benjamin had on Grimm a week or two ago. I had Benjamin on the channel. He goes way back in the corner. He actually interviewed Paul years ago in Paul's office, Paul Vanderklay. So, but yeah, we've got people, you know, all the people on that list are people that in this corner of the internet, many people have listened to and pay attention to. So come be there, come hear from the speakers, but come encounter one another, fellowship, the fellowship of the Spirit, be with one another. Ontological relationality is at the core, not just the ideas that the people will have to prepare. So, all right, we got some other people showing up in the chat. Let's see. Ethan, Seabax is his own special TLC. Yeah, I think so. So, what I got next on the list, we promoted Midwest. So what's been going on in the channel? I want to talk about some things, point everyone to some stuff that has been going on the channel here. So I'm going to point that out. Let's see here. So just this past week, I had my wife here, Meg Baxter, on the channel. Episode 110. That was a lot of fun. There's a great story about a motorcycle in there I want to point everybody to. And yeah, it was a birthday present. I turned 40 and she's like, do you want me to do podcast with you for your birthday? And I said, yeah, that'd be fun. And so it was like really last minute. I set up another microphone, kind of fixed the camera, and we went for it. And then over here, you can see I had a conversation with George Harrell of the George Buchanan Institute up in Moscow, Idaho, about Christian nationalism. And we'll get back into the Christian nationalism thing because I got called a Christian nationalist this past week. And then I want to point everyone to this coming out tomorrow is a roundtable here. I've got a creatives roundtable coming up with our very own McMo and Chris Young. I invited friends Matt Hylam and James Taylor Foreman to be a part of a creative roundtable, not Estuary. What even is the art of vulnerability, navigating Christianity in a hyper real world? So that comes out tomorrow. Show up for the premiere. It's going to be a lot of fun. And these guys all super creative. McMo, many of you guys already pay attention to his stuff, but then Matt Hylam is a singer-songwriter producer, and James Taylor Foreman is a writer on Substack. He had a very viral his return to Christianity called Why I'm a Christian Again, I think. And then Chris Young is a virtuoso guitar player out of Nashville. Yeah, exactly. Pate, my friend Payne. If they're calling you Christian nationalists, they'd have a stroke song on Twitter. Yeah. So, anyways, we're gonna keep going. The one of the reasons I really wanted to get on here tonight was and do this live stream. Live streams kind of like press you to just kind of keep going and getting things done, and the interaction's a lot of fun. And so I wanted to talk about this opportunity that I have been invited to take part in. Not just me, but also Luke Thompson from Grail Country and Whitestone Name, and then friend of the corner, Ross Bird. I was asked by Cadell last, so we'll go into this kind of story here. If I can find my screen to share. Well, we'll just go back to my channel. We'll go back to my channel and we'll hit it back that way. So I had a conversation with Cadell last on my channel last fall. He is he runs a site called Philosophy Portal, and he is this working the way I wanted to? There we go. He kind of identifies as a Christian atheist. He's been paying attention to the corner for a while. Very familiar, had his own kind of meaning crisis, and we touched on that a little bit in our first conversation. And so I called it Christian atheism at the end of Protestantism. What do I mean by that? Well, just that some people, that's the critique of Protestantism and, the priesthood of the believer and all that kind of stuff. I kind of see it as this natural progression of where at the very end of the snake starts eating its tail related to Christianity. And so, yeah, I've got it highlighted down here. That was 4 months ago. And then he reached out and a few months later, this is interesting. So he reached out after my first roundtable with the Zoomers because he thought it was interesting getting people of that other generation in dialogue. He thinks dialogue is very important as a philosopher. And he's also interested in communities dialoguing with other communities. So this would be the TLC. And this is why I kind of did with the thumbnail was, point let's see if I'm strong enough in my skills. Yeah, let's pull up a thumb. This will work. All right. So yeah, TLC, and he invited me to be a part of a conversation series on his channel called Christianity in Transition. So the first half of that series, he had on some people that have come through the corner, like Brendan Graham Dempsey from Metamodernism and some others in like this past March, where they talked about Christianity in transition. And I would like kind of frame that from a very liberal perspective. And there was a guy who has a book or a program called like Deconstructionology. And then as this over April, which is kind of interesting because it's like through Pascha and Easter time season, there's kind of from the more orthodox, like little o orthodox side of the conversation about Christianity in transition, and specifically related to like what Paul's been doing here in this corner of the internet, this little corner of there being a type of ecumenism that is within some exclusionary boundary. That's just the way it is. But within that, trying to develop the tools and to that are based around something like a ontological relationship, that when we come into this space, we have conversation about the tensions and about differences. And then we kind of like come back into our embodied life. And that idea has also, as Paul's brought in this new word, metagelical, what's past, what's beyond evangelicalism as what's been known, as it was married to, say, like the conservative right, and even in certain ways through the emerging church is from the 90s and early 2000s, like the other side of the political side, of more liberal side, you had the emerging, and those conversations within the marketplace of ideas, which is something that Paul talks. And so now what is beyond all that? And Paul seems to think, and he outlined this very well in his conversation with Vocal Distance not so long ago about Peugeot and Peterson and like Vervaeke, ushering in philosophical tools for evangelicalism to begin to reform itself and understand itself philosophically. And so then, now Cadell's channel, Philosophy Portal, like I'm finding myself in philosophical spaces, and I am no philosopher, but we have had great conversations. And let's see if I can find another. I want to point to, so why am I thinking this is interesting and wanting you guys to get involved? Well, because for one, this is like the corner talking to another corner of the internet. And as we go in the future, these online communities and these online places, is it just going to be, blood sport? Is it just going to be, attack and defend? Or is there somehow that we can dialogue and seek peace, seek wisdom, seek the truth together, and build relationship that hopefully could, build trust? Like, could we seek to build trust? And so I think that's interesting to me. And you don't build trust by lobbing bombs and attacking. You build trust through honest questions and sincere curiosity, but also through being honest with what you truly do believe. And so, and seeing if that can be respected in relationships. So that's going to be happening. And that's why I think it's important. So the way that Cadell has this set up in his philosophy portal is you go to his website, and we'll get into that here in a second. But also, I want to encourage to kind of go back and to think about like what I've been doing here on YouTube over the last year or so. And, one of my first conversations, my third conversation on this podcast that I run was with Jordan Hall. And I was on a journey and have been to better understand what I experienced through something like the Jordan Peterson phenomenon, what I experienced through my own destruction in my life and rebuilding and rebirth, and of my own surprising rebirth and the belief in God. Shout out to Justin Brierly. And how try to understand it, and outside of the terms that didn't seem to like hang on, like the evangelical terms that I grew up with, some of the more simple doctrinal terms, and that didn't seem to grip optimally what I had experienced. And so it was into kind of philosophical terms. And in my first conversation with Jordan Hall, he made the distinction, helped me see the distinction between what was happening in the early Sam Harris with Jordan Peterson debates, where there was an epistemological error, and one where it's like something about epistemology related to like facts and science, and one about being truthful. And that really helped me frame, okay, and I am one to believe that being truthful is more ontological than the epistemic realities of, like, say, scientific facts or correct propositions, in the sense, because of course we exist in a reality that operates on its own, that we can't, we try to put ideas on to understand. But within relationships and how we move through the world as humans and as people, trust is the true goodness of the true capital that we have with one another. And as somebody who broke trust, I had not really understood the value of that until it was gone. And that I could have had all the right ideas that somebody on somewhere could have agreed with, or I could have thought were, but it didn't matter at the end of the day if I had the ideas straight in my head, if the people I operated in this life with could not trust me as a person. And I think the whole scientific enterprise and the religious enterprises need to be evaluated in this frame of ontological truthfulness within relationship. And so that the epistemological framework there, and then underneath that is this, however you want to look and understand about God as in relationship to man and himself and all those things, you kind of come into this reality that reality exists within relationship. And so how we are, engaging with one another on the internet spaces, and how we engage with one another in our life, and how we are those things we've kind of taken for granted. So I got to go on Cadell's channel. He had me on this past, it came out last Monday or Tuesday. We did kind of a promo, Christianity in Transition promo, and I'll kind of pull up that one if I can find it. Yeah, this one. So we, which I wish I knew how to get the thumbs to show up better on here, but we did that, this conversation on his channel, Christianity in Transition with Christian Baxter, 5 days ago. And, and so we had a conversation, and I kind of went through, he asked me about TLC, this corner of the internet, and ontological relationality. That was a question he asked me about. And so we discussed that on there. And so I want to point people to that. If you're interested in connecting, that's a good place to start for what's coming up this month with Christianity in Transition with Philosophy Portal. So, I don't know, get to I guess I can go to his channel and we'll see, because it'll be there. There it is, Christianity in Transition. And you can see he goes all over the place in his dialogues, just by the nature of his thumb titles, and techno-optimism, techno-pessimism, capitalism as religion, Marxism in politics, what is society for Marxism, and then this previous one with me, we get started on Christianity and transition. And so it's kind of, like I said, a preview for what's going to be going on the month of for the month of April. So how can you join us at the Philosophy Portal and be involved in that? Because I want to highlight here who's going to be involved and do a little promo. So, and we'll get there. So, Philosophy Portal, here we go. So it says here that Philosophy Portal, the Portal live event space. So if you go to philosophyportal.online, and then you go up here to Portal Series, you can see the Commons, Christianity and Transition. And so you click on Christianity and Transition. I'm going to read through this. What is the future of Christianity? Christianity and Transition is a 2-month-long investigation on contemporary Christianity informed by practitioners and thinkers wrestling with the real-life challenges of that question. The investigation will aim to cover everything from emerging church movement to the work of Peter Rollins' pyrotheology, to cultural theory about postmodern deconstruction and metamodern reconstruction, to the possibility of metagelicalism as a meta paradigm for thinking about the interrelation of different Christian denominations in Western culture and society. The process as a whole is leading towards Philosophy Portal's participation at Peter Rollins' Wake Festival at Belfast, and lead to discussions and breakout groups inspired by the concept of Christian atheism to think through the relationship between religion and secularity today. So you can sign up. The sign up, if you want the cheap way to get connected to this, it's going to be through me. He's offered me, I can get people the link to be involved in this through my YouTube memberships. And so my YouTube membership tier, level 2, yours truly faithful, is $4.99 a month. So if you do 1 month membership at $4.99, I'll put out a community post on YouTube that has the link for those memberships and up. And so it's $4.99, and you can take part in this. And his stuff is pretty expensive on his channel to take part in these things. So you're getting a very good deal to come through my channel if you want to get involved. And that's kind of his gracious offer to connect with the TLC, and that he wants to connect with you guys and see if y'all are interested. But you can see here, so Jim Palmer, he focuses on post-religious spirituality. These were the people from the first part of during the March series. Of course, many of you are familiar with Brendan Graham Dempsey and his work on metamodernism. And then Rob Zahn, Kevin Krause. And these guys, I think they both work at churches and are still involved in churches. And the first two guys are kind of not involved in churches. They come deconstructed out of church. These Rob and Kevin, I think, would still be operating in kind of like the emerging church paradigm. Mars Hill Cafe, emerging church inspired third space. So, and then you can see here myself, Luke Thompson, and Ross will be kind of representing something like this corner of the internet. So you can go to Philosophy Portal and read up on these and see if you're interested. And if you are interested in it'll be live every Sunday through the month of April in the afternoon. And you can get the link through my channel memberships. And I'll send you, I can get your email, or I can send it I'll send the link on the members only post that I do. So again, $4.99 for the month, and you can be a part. So that was his way of saying, hey, if you want to do the paywall on there, because he has a paywall for his stuff, you can do it at the price of your channel. So I'm not doing the $1.99, but if you want to do the $4.99, yours truly faithful on the channel, and I'll link back all this stuff in the bottom once I get in the description, once I get all this done. So that's Philosophy Portal coming up. And yeah, so we're going to be looking at the corner as ontological relationality and metagelicalism. And that's been, you know, if you watch recently to Paul Vanderklay's commentary he did on Jordan Hall, who was on Speak Now with Glenn Scrivener, talking about ARC. And if you followed along, Ross Bird has done a lot with Jordan. And that was kind of how I got connected to Ross last year, was through that. And in his conversation with Ross, to go over the divine economy. And I also want to point people, if you don't know much about Ross, to his Substack, which I have, let's see here. I've got his Substack pulled up over here, Patient Kingdom. And we'll pull it in. Add to stage. Oh, add. Remove. Add to stage. Yeah, so on Ross's Patient Kingdom, he has and the reason I invited Ross to take part in this is he has see here he has his conversation with Jordan Hall and the divine economy, a conversation about the church, the commons, vocation, education, currency, community, and the future of civilization. Was because of Ross's article called A Parish Manifesto. And if you take time to read through this, I think you'll get kind of the metagelical flavor of, and he wrote it for a publication called Mere Orthodoxy, which is kind of a cool Christian publication, Reformed publication or whatever. And he talks about the seeming opposites of holiness and inclusion. And then he highlights evangelicalism as a Joseph movement. And so he's looking at evangelicalism and what is beyond it. He says parishes, steeples, priests, and peoples. So, yeah. And so those are, you know, the things coming up with this channel, Philosophy Portal, Christianity Transition. If you want to follow along, you can become a channel member on my channel for the month of April, and that'll be the price of admission to get involved or to be able to pay attention to that series where Luke's going to be on there, Ross is going to be on there. We're going to be discussing Paul Vanderklay's This Little Corner of the Internet and metagelicalism in different ways, which that's the other thing I'll do is I will highlight here on, let's see here. I'll look at this series for Philosophy Portal. We didn't look at the series. It's on below. All right. And here we go. So the series, the week is going to go like this. March 31st, Monday. Metagelicalism, session 5. April 6th, A Parish Manifesto with Ross Bird. Monday, April 14th, Christianity and Counterculture with Rob Zahn. And then April 20th is TLC as Metagelical with Christian Baxter. And I think Luke's going to be involved in one or two of those as well. I think we'll all be kind of playing parts in. So if you're a fan of Luke Thompson's ideas and if you were interested in wanting to see this corner kind of be represented in another space in conversation and in dialogue, then come hang out. Grab a little link from my YouTube membership for the month and follow along in this conversation series, Christianity in Transition. So I'm going to look here at some of the comments that have been rolling. Let's see. TLC as another iteration of a splinter group of a splinter pod. What's not at this point? Do you love wisdom? Then you are a philosopher. There we go. What else we got here? Will TFC absorb Christianity in Transition? Tune in next week. Yeah, come on. Tune in next week to find out. And yes, this is a response. Sorry, PVK isn't the Borg Queen. We will absorb you. Portal promo better be particularly pretty. Well, I don't know if it was pretty. Is Brendan Graham Dempsey a leader? He was in this previous series that was in March. For the April series, it's going to be like me, Ross, and Luke. And he mentioned Rob's on here. And he's at a church. Well, since some of y'all know these guys, I'll read Rob's. Rob's a theologian, public speaker, teacher, creator, and author who's known for exposing and challenging the edges of what is expected of the church. Rob earned his doctorate in semiotics, church, and culture, where he researched connection with psychedelics to the birth of contemporary Christian music. His work, it tells an interwoven personal story of how LSD gave rise to the CCM. Interesting. Teaching the church of today that God is indeed incarnate and at least in the least likely of places. He's an ordained pastor at an Elka Evangelical Lutheran Church in America and teaches in religion department at Waldorf University. So excited to meet him and do these conversations. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I just saw what kind of the parts that Paul did on the Scrivener Hall conversation, and I'm going to watch the whole thing. Let's see. Are you running a series in the portal? Clint D. I am a part of a series in the portal. And it's called Christianity in Transition, and it's part 2 of Christianity in Transition series that's been going on. So, and again, this is, I'm just going to come out and write out and say all the people in this list are the last people I want to learn philosophy from. Yeah, well, don't show up. And I'm not trying to teach philosophy. It's really about dialogue and conversation, which I think is a part of philosophy. And of course, if you're looking at it maybe from an analytical, philosophical, and technical perspective, yeah, you're not going to get that because so, that may not be what everyone is. I don't think they could have picked better representative than Luke Seeback's. PVK is the next best. Steve Jobs of the TLC. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. So PVK, I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe Cadell didn't reach out to PVK. Maybe he did. I've let PVK know this is going on. I've sent him some of the promo material. And so I don't know if at some point some of this stuff will spill out on Cadell's channel. I think he does spill these things out over time. But if you want to get in on the front end and to the bleeding edge of the conversation, you can get through my channel subscription on my YouTube channel, $4.99 for the month, and I'll get you a link to take part. And the way you do that, I guess is, you'll just get the link, and if you'll even respond like on the members, like when I do the members only post, if you respond with your email, I can send it there, or I'll just have it on the actual link. We'll kind of see how it works. But I'll release that once he gives me that information. I think tomorrow I'll get it. It starts tomorrow afternoon. I think around 2:00, it'll be live. That's the other thing. I don't know how the philosophy portal works. Like once you're in there, I think there'll be question Q&As that you can take part in the fact that it's live. I think he'll be so. All right, guys. Let's see what else I have here. Ontological relationality. This is part of it. And the corner, what's happening in the digital space as we find ourselves into some common relationship built on things through the algorithm in some ways. So thanks, OG Rose. OG Rose is connected to Philosophy Portal. He's done work over there with them. So great to see you coming over to Philosophy Portal for the month, Christian. It's a tremendous space. Cadell rocks. And OG Rose commented on my very first YouTube video. So that was really cool. And it's cool to continue to connect with him in these spaces. And I know he's kind of around the corner in certain ways. So I guess that's a lie. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I'm not hip enough to know how cap, like no cap is like no lie. So cap would be a lie with the Gen Z-isms, signs in the dust. You have to break it down for this old man. All right. So don't forget, there's some things going on. I've got the Creative Roundtable also coming out, so I've got some free content tomorrow. That'll be live, premiering in the morning, and that's the Creatives Roundtable with McMo and everything. So. Yeah, OG Rose says, I appreciate it, Christian. I agree with what you said about bridging, connecting corners of the internet. It's very important. Yeah, like I mean, there's things it's powerful to me as somebody that would call myself like within some version of Christian orthodoxy, to be in a space where it's like, we want to respect that about you. We're different over here in this, but interested in what you have to say and how maybe we could make sense of the world together. So yeah, that is, I think it's powerful. It's powerful to me. That's how I feel. Maybe it's a temperamental thing. Some people don't like that. And let's see here. What was that? Oh yeah. So look back. My conversation with my wife came out this last week, Meg Baxter, and we had a lot of fun. We go kind of deep into our own marriage story and relationship. And she tells some funny stories about me, and you get her perspective on what I'm doing here right now. From her perspective, what is it we're doing? And that's pretty interesting. Had some people in the comments say, we should have her. I said, people are probably going to want you to co-host some stuff. And so we'll see. Maybe in the future, she'll co-host an interview with me with somebody where it seems like it would really make sense. But yeah. So, all right. Well, I don't know if anyone's up for tonight. We're going to kind of shut down this segment of the show. And then I'm going to play another promotion for Midwest Estuary, and then I'll open up for some V&A if people are wanting to hang out tonight. We'll see if anyone's out there. So if you're wanting in, I'll drop the link in the chat during this promotion.
Midwestuary 2025, August 22nd through the 24th in Elmhurst, Illinois. A weekend you won't want to miss, with special guests Cale Zeldin, Paul Vanderklay, Rod Dreer, Elizabeth Oldfield, John Vervaeke, and Jonathan Pajot. Midwestuary 2025, the Fellowship of the Spirit. Stay tuned for more details. Visit us at midwestuary.com for ongoing updates.
right, I've got the link. I don't know if anyone, it's late. Most people don't like talking on the internet in the corner this late at night, but we'll do some, we'll leave it out there for a minute. Some VNA session, virtually not alone on the internet. Thank you everyone for making me feel virtually not alone tonight. The smoothness is uncanny. Yes, it is. Jordan Hall with Glenn Scribner. Yeah, it was fire. And Jordan of this last year, like I got to kind of connect with him at the kind of beginnings of his coming out as a Christian through a couple conversation series, and now kind of seeing how his ideas of his Game B and Civium and what's coalescing with his Christian faith is a fascinating journey. Unfortunately, not in the live stream apparel at this point. Yeah, most people probably not. But, you know, if you're out there and you want to hang out for a little bit and have a little conversation about anything we've talked about tonight, about the Midwest Estuary coming up, about any of like previous shows or anything going on in the corner, Jordan Hall's conversation with Glenn Scribner and we got somebody. He is hot girl Nathan Kahi, who I mispronounced his name on my show. What's up, man?
How are you?
I'm good, dude.
What are you most excited about for this philosophy portal thing?
Well, you know, it's kind of I'm excited that there's something that has come from doing this, like a connecting with somebody else who's doing this in their own way, and that it's also a I'm like representing something. Like he sought me in this as a representative of the corner, as a real thing, and so that's exciting to do that, and hopefully I will honor that. But yeah, says OG, he's like, I'd love to hop on one of these streams sometimes, but getting ready for son's 5th birthday party tomorrow. Yes, that's a worthy cause. Blowing up balloons.
Birthday boy.
Blowing up balloons. Ethan, how's it been for you, man? Like, you know, it's been a wild ride. You're all over the place. I see you on Twitter everywhere. I see you hopping into live streams. Like, how's it going?
Well, right now I'm packing a car. I leave for Alaska tomorrow.
Oh, y'all heading
So
out?
I'm driving from Seattle to Alaska for the next week.
Driving.
Yeah, but I just got back from an Elks temple where I met up with Afrael and Skankenstein.
I don't even know Skankenstein. I do know Afrael.
Skankenstein was on Paul's Estuary this past Friday.
Okay. So yeah, so there's like that lively. How close are you to Olympia, where that estuary group's at?
Like 45 minutes. So I stopped in there this past Tuesday night.
That's so fun. Yeah, I saw you talking about that briefly on that stream. Yeah, dude.
Like the TLC has become flesh and blood.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Isn't that wild and nuts? Cool. You know that how this it's just a wild thing. What do you think about that idea about like there's like a fundamental to the relationality of what's going on here? What do you think about that?
Okay, well, you got to tell me what you mean by ontological relationality.
Ontological means like the ground of being, like completely foundational to reality. So relationship, relationality, that idea, is that what is real is relationship, relationality, or is there something beneath that, or is that where reality kind of begins? I guess that's and that something like the corner and what we're doing here is like a fractal of that reality. That's how I guess I would try to describe it.
I mean, it sounds like you're saying, like, is it worth having friendships with humans? Like, I don't buy some of this. So I did study some philosophy, but I was just a pain in the ass with the classes because I was always like, I don't buy these fancy languages. It's like, yeah, it's worth having friendships. Like, it brought me so much joy tonight to like meet one stranger and one half stranger and like sit down for 4 hours in this like building where there were like 5 restaurants stacked on top of each other, and there was like a secret wall with a speakeasy, and we just like wandered around and had conversations in the hallways, and had a burger over here and had a cocktail over here, and like by the end of the night we got to like some pretty deep territory, and all 3 of us were like, I don't really normally say this to my friends, but let me tell you a story. And it's like, what is happening that I'm telling strangers, and these strangers are telling me things that we don't feel comfortable telling our friends? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I think that's part of that. There's something more fundamental in certain ways. And we use funny words to try to describe these things, but like, I mean, you just use the contrasted whatever you experience with, I don't really talk to my friends about this. Well, what is like you're saying then, what is this? And I would be curious, like, even for how our society is structured, thinking like, oh, it would be something like contrasting it between the individual being the ontological foundation of being, bottom is just, and if that's the case, then we should be just okay on that level. I don't know.
Well, but like, I mean, can an individual have an ontological relationship if they're alone? Like, do they require community to function like a human is supposed to function?
I don't know.
Because like I've had periods of life where I was like alone in a city, and the first thing I did was like, okay, well, I don't have any hobbies here, so like I'm just gonna go to a bar so I can be around other humans, because I know that I don't have to pay to get in here. I can just sit here and like talk to a bartender, and that like brings me some kind of like peace and comfort.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess the other piece of it is trying to understand, like, it's something different than, say, you have a bunch of people with individual YouTube channels, right? Doing YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Versus what's happening in the corner is a bunch of people with YouTube. You have a YouTube channel. You're on it right now. Like, are you YouTubing? And is this more fundamental than what YouTubers do on YouTube? I guess that's kind of the thing too.
Is this more fundamental than what YouTubers do on YouTube? Yeah, I mean, I don't view myself as a YouTuber. That's not an identity I would claim. I don't know. Is that an identity you would claim? Would you say I am a YouTuber?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Partly, but I wouldn't. I mean, at this point, Cadell introduced me as a Christian YouTuber on our podcast, and I was like, okay, well, I guess that I've tried in my mind to think that I'm not a quote unquote Christian YouTuber, but my name's Christian, and I'm just kind of in this corner, like trying to operate in a certain way, but then I'm also playing with the tools and the bells and whistles that are fun to me because they've always been fun to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
What do you want to be?
What do I want to be? Well, the thing that came to my mind was like, I want to be a good dad. Like that's what went right in my brain. And then, but as far as this stuff, I want to connect. I want to engage. I want to relate. I want to learn and explore. And this is a way you can do that. You can do a lot of those things here in the digital space through this medium with the algorithms and the tools and stuff. But also in this culture that kind of Vanderklay's developed, you can kind of do. I don't think was the question. What do you want to do? Was that what the question? I think it was. Yeah.
So what do you want to be?
Oh, what do I want to be? Oh yeah, so I want to be.
You're like, well, I'm kind of a YouTuber, which makes me. I hear like, well, I don't want to be a YouTuber. I'm not Like I'm using
Yeah,
YouTube, but
so
I'm not trying to become a YouTuber. So I'm like,
yeah, like
what are you becoming?
I want to be known. I do want to be known, you know, in these certain parts of my life that I don't feel. This is the interesting thing about what you talked about with the story, like with Afriel and the other guy was, you know, I don't really talk to my friends about this. So they are allowing a knowing of themselves that in a way it's like if you got on the internet and you talked about, man, you mentioned 3 names on the internet that maybe are a little dicey, could be considered dicey in other social spheres of the world. All of a sudden, you are now in a relationship with a person that you can share maybe something that's deeper and more foundational to your core. What I want to be. So I don't know.
Because you said you want to be known,
Yeah, I
but
want to be
like,
known. Yeah, like there's parts of me, but I also want, and I want to explore, but to be, what do you want to be? I want to be known. And is it how known? Do I want to be renowned? Do I want to be famous? Do I want to be you know, I don't know. Like I come back to that thing with Martin Shaw's like be famous for 5 miles. Like there's a knowingness that has its limits to, you know, but that has also its benefits. Like, you know, so I don't know. I think that's part of it.
I'm halfway through your conversation with your wife,
Uh-huh.
and I loved it because there was like so much texture to where like she kept like I loved what she was like, oh, this is your YouTube smile. Like this is I'm talking to Christian the YouTuber right now. Like, okay, where's my husband at? And she's like looking at you and like, come on, husband, like come out from the YouTube shell, like come back to me. And she
Yeah.
was so interesting to watch that like push and pull. Okay, secretly, I'm hoping for like maybe just like a monthly Meg takeover. Like I click on a Christian video and you're not even there. She's just
Yeah.
at the microphone. Maybe not until school's over, but I hope that one day there's just like an occasional Meg takeover.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think she had a lot more fun. She said it was way different watching the premiere and like talking to people because like when it premieres, there's like the live chat going on, and she thought, I think she thought that was a lot more fun than she realized it would be, and then she's had fun responding to the comments too. So, but
was
yeah,
there
that
a relationship involved?
yeah, and like there's like I'm being known right now. I think there's like I am being seen and known in a way that by people that in a very strange way, because she kind of also was talking about like you know, friends on the internet or you know, like ooh type thing. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious because like okay, so you've been doing this for a year,
Yeah.
which is 12 times as long as I've been doing this.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, okay, so you've done this for a year. You now have like an established channel. People come to watch your videos. People come to your premieres. People
Yep.
come into your chat room. So like you are known to a degree.
Yep.
And I'm curious for this next year. It's like, what is Christian going to be known for? Because he is becoming known, but like, what are you going to become known for?
Yeah, well, I think that's what's interesting about this portal thing because I'm known for being a TLC person. And I'm okay with that. Like because this space, even I think in our conversation, like that I encouraged you is like, there's this community that's engaged that I could pretend to be a podcaster with. Like and you know like and have some and play and engage and respond and react, and people that want to stay at a certain level, they're doing that, and then other people are like you're you know at another level, like with Luke, and he does stuff on his channel, and so so this year will like what is being like this is a good example of, you know, representing something that is real. And I think that was even like when I first started, I think people were in the corner were still kind of like, well, you know, is this a thing? Like that was a kind of a conversation, was like, is this a thing? Is this something real? And they weren't even when I first started, like owning this little corner TLC, like was not yet kind of like done. And so now a year later, it's been owned. And then Paul like comes up with like another thing, which was like the Metagelical thing. And he kind of is pushing out every, you know, and it's like, and I'm okay with like trying to imbibe the spirit of Paul Vanderklay, because I think it's a good one in this space. I think it's so radical and in a certain way, to one degree or another, realistic in what to do with this stuff, or more wise, you know. I mean, he's as addicted as we all are, but I mean, like that's the, but you know, I don't know. I don't remember exactly what the question was. How you said, what's this year gonna?
Oh, I don't know either.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But
yeah, I'm curious, like, because in some sense it's like it's a lot of work just to get known, right? Like it's a lot of work that for people to like come around you, and then it's like, okay, now you're like looking around, like, okay, there's people here, like, what do I do with an audience now? Like I have an audience.
Yeah.
What do I do with it? Like where do I take this thing? And so it's like I'm excited. You know, I think you pretty much sold me on giving you $5 this next month, because I'm excited to see what you do with this philosophy portal and how you interact there. Because now it's like you're not just on your channel, but you're a part of this other thing, and you're representing TLC. And I'm a month in, and I'm like, I think I'm kind of sold on TLC. Like I think I'm gonna like burn my house contract, and like I'm just gonna like live here now. Like I've moved in. Like the people are great. It's lovely, and I've met them. I've met them in real life.
Burn
so, like,
my house contract. That's so
yeah,
great.
and like you were my HOA. You were like, hey, this is how it like works around here. Like, there's some stuff over here, some stuff over there. This is kind of where this is the boundary of your lawn. So like, you know, keep your stuff clean. Don't throw trash on your neighbor's lawns. But
yeah, there's a guy named Alan on here. He hasn't been around as much the last month or so, but he's called his handle is Corner Citizen. You know, so what does it mean to be a good citizen of the corner? And I mean, I think he said something like 9 months ago, he was like, PVK was like, should I keep doing randos? And he said, yes, if not just for the sake of example. I thought that was so good. And like inspired me to continue to do that, like to frame that this is a real part of what this culture is. And like, I mean, my conversation, I did kind of see like with you is like, okay, he popped on. It's really this interesting story related to, AI that's happening right now. But it was like, he's not been around here. He just like, I was like, we can rando this guy. Like that's part of the culture. Is Paul going to rando him? Would that rando have to be booked a month out? Like I could do that like tomorrow, and kind of, and then, so there's that part of like looking at it as a culture. There's things that are culture, like dropping the link and then somebody showing up. Like, that's like a culture, this VNA, like, there's just these little pieces. And if you can like kind of identify them, then it's something that can kind of like, be replicated. And so I think, like I said, like trying to imbibe PVK, but also like I'm not him. I can't do what he does on the synthesis. I don't have enough, like, I don't have a strong enough history, like background. I think I don't have a strong enough like literary background, but I do have a strong like evangelical background that understands a lot of his like the stuff that you and I even talked about.
Yeah.
At that theme and that thread. So I don't know. Yeah, dude. You're the one. Good questions. You're having fun with your questions. It makes life easier.
Well, I'm still waiting for the pamphlet that's like all the TLC E's.
E's? Oh,
yeah.
what?
Like Christianese. Like the other day, I'm talking to Neil and Chad, and one of them goes like, "Well, like everything has a telos, obviously, yada yada yada." I'm going, everything has a telos, obviously. Well, what do you mean, obviously? Like, I missed that part of like the introduction. And it's like, you're talking about ontological relationship, relationality. And I've heard that phrase more than once. And I'm
Yeah.
going like, but what do you mean by ontological relationality? And there's lots of these like TLCEs things that I think have like developed across time. And I'm kind of going like, what exactly is everybody talking about?
Part of it is like, I think, there, I have a part of my thesis related to all of this is that philosophy, like growing up, you know, I got like a theological education. And it was in the religion and philosophy department at my little school. And I took one philosophy course, like just intro to philosophy, you know, and a big part of it is Vervaeke's stuff and conversations that he's had over there with his language things. But for me, I've had to brush up on like Google searches. What is ontological? Go look it up. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. You know, like that's been stuff I've had to do. Tell us was, you know, I just did some homework. And Chad has said in the past, like, you know, the curve is too steep. And to like make coming on a quick thing to the corner, but maybe like to jump into the deep end, but there's different ways. Like, I mean, you know, Mark Parker's over here in the Mark's this excellent example of a guy who didn't even listen to like maybe only like did this to Jordan Peterson in the corner, like completely. And yet he found a way in. His thing that I've heard him say was just that he admired what PVK was doing for young men from his perspective. And that was enough, you know, but if you kind of go into the deeper end of the pool, you see that, well, a lot of that came from Peterson's meaning stuff, you know, it's like, and so then he has to kind of like maybe decide like, well, how am I going to frame what, you know, how I engage with that part of the strata. So, and this is ontology and teleology are Christian theological terms. So,
And so the thing is, like, I know the definition of those words, but I'm like never convinced that when I hear you say ontology, that you mean the exact ontology that when I hear Chad say ontology. So I'm always like, tell me what you mean when you say that, because I don't want to assume I know what you mean. Because I think that it's like richer when I ask, like, I press you, I go, what do you mean by that? I feel like we end up in a richer conversation than if I just assume I know where you're going.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, again, like going over to Philosophy Portal, like there's oh, snap. Boom.
Whoa. Hello.
Hey, my friend Joseph. Joseph, meet Ethan.
Yeah, I saw Ethan in here and I had to hop on here and give him grief for, you know, choosing to live in Wisconsin over Minnesota. But, I'll let him pass since he's, you know, on this path of repentance. Maybe he'll figure it out, you know, the right calls. So,
what's that, eh?
Yeah, no, I'm crashing the party now. So
yeah, crashing the party. No, dude. Joseph,
I wanted to throw, you know, there's been this, you know, this, I guess, idea of Christianity in transition.
Oh, here we go.
And I'll say two quick things about it.
Capital right? O Orthodox.
Yeah.
Not my.
No, so I guess, you know, a big thing that I've been doing right now, and this is related, trust me. I've been digitizing old tapes
nice.
Like crazy. Like I got like 50 of them here from my parents in the 90s and early 2000s and whatnot. And I'm watching these tapes and I'm realizing that the world has ended. That world is gone. That, you know, I'm witnessing here, and it's, you know, this experience of I guess mainline Protestantism in America, and the assumptions that were made in that, with how people just had kids and cousins hung out with each other, and like this very fabric of assumed existence in America is just boom gone. And I'm living it now with my kids. They're not experiencing anything similar to what I'm seeing in these tapes 30 years ago. And I think where this revival is not anything new to American Christianity, right? But I feel like this whatever we're this phenomenon we're experiencing right now, it's a revival that is it's not like the other one. I hate to say it. It's like, I'm not like the other boys, I'm not like the other girls, because it feels like we're sort of there's a return to the communal, participatory, and procedural modes of knowledge and experience. And I don't know. There's something tingling in me watching these old tapes, that I'm thinking the people that are returning to Christianity in particular are not necessarily. Some are doing it because they're crazy and they want to make Constantinople great again. But what I've experienced in the most part is that there's a deep yearning for establishing the world, upon the God man, and knowing that we are lost without that. So I guess that's what I got to say. And one last thing to add to it. I said I had two things. Big rumor, by the way. Let's zip it up. Got a zip here. Zip it up. So the Orthodox and the Catholics have a big thing going on this Easter. Easter is landing on the same day as in the East as in the West. And the rumor is Pope Francis is going to do the old switcheroo and have the Catholics follow the revised Julian calculation for Easter henceforth. So Easter will be celebrated on the same day as with Catholics and Orthodox. And you see this movement towards something like this would have never been seen, prior to World War II, really. So I can't help but feel like there's something being movement, and it's not a cheap ecumenism of kumbaya, Episcopalian, Lutheran, let's make out with each other kind of ecumenism. I don't know. There's something in the waters, and you know what? It just might be Zip, because I think people are waking up and they're unzipping their minds here. So there you go.
Joseph works for Zip, apparently. That's awesome.
Is it an energy drink?
It's anything you want it to be. That's the beauty of Zip. It unlocks anything.
Are you drinking a Zip, Christian?
He's cracking into a Zip. There's a hotline for Zipaholics, and I've called this line too many times. They blocked me, but anyways,
I love it.
That's what I got.
So let me ask you this, Joseph. If next year when Easter rolls around and if that happens with the Catholics, what will the Protestants do?
I know. What is little Seaback's church going to do? Because this is totally derailing things now. Yes, it is. It is the Zip. So I have a big hunch that the Anglicans and the ELCA church, the largest Lutheran denomination, I think these guys would easily follow the Catholic world in adoption there of the revised Julian. Here's the really interesting thing.
Yep.
The people that don't care or say, what the heck is the revised Julian? What even is a Julian calendar? How is Easter calculated? I just go to Apple and Google to tell me when that is on the calendar. That is a dying race of people. That is Gen Xers, and sorry to go on blast for Gen Xers, boomers, Gen Xers, millennials, cringe office loving millennials that do not care for the procedural, do not care for the liturgical. We are entering in an age of intentional liturgical practice, and
well, I can tell you where this guy's liturgy is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be at the Zip manufacturing plant. That's where it's going to be. But anyways, so this I think is all really pointing to something with if this rumor, this well-placed rumor is actually going to happen, those people that look to Apple and Google for when the heck is Easter, those are a dying race of people. Those non-denominational churches are gonna, if you aren't conscious of when Easter is happening, you're going the way of limewire. I guess I don't know. So.
Yeah, I think that is really fascinating. Luke, do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm just over here planting my zinnias. I mean, I have not caught much of the conversation before this point. I definitely resonate with the participatory. I mean, Joseph, I don't think we've been on a live stream before, but I'm like a raised non-denominational evangelical, but have definitely like become very, very into Catholic spiritual practice. Like I've started praying the Liturgy of the Hours and participating in the liturgical year, and it's just been really meaningful for me. And I definitely see that popping up even in the evangelical world to some degree. But I think that idea of the communion between the East and West is such a beautiful picture. Like I'd love to see that happen. But I'm not very educated. I don't know. I'm on board, man.
I think the implications of what happens in Protestant, if that happens, the implications of what happens in Protestantism are pretty big. Especially with evangelicalism, if certain Protestant main lines like follow on, but then the evangelical church stays in like whatever. I don't even know how they like. I don't know what will. Yeah, I'm curious. Either they'll just not think about it. Are you muted, Joseph? You're muted.
Sorry. Imagine if the Southern Baptist Convention like didn't get the memo that like the majority of the Western churches were now on the, like the new calendar or the calendar change, and then you had like a schism of, well, we're not going to be on the Papist calendar, and it's like you're repeating history all over again, I guess. But it's an entertaining thought experiment, I guess.
I want to. Mark Parker says majoring on the minors, boys, and I just happen to. I mean, what institutional change though? Regardless, it's like every year in the past 2 years when I've paid attention and like there's been the rise of like the ortho guys on Twitter, and it's like happy Wester, happy Easter, and all this kind of cute little stuff like you're saying, but it's like it kind of is signaling something. It kind of signals like this thing, but what if that goes away? But now it's like I don't know. I just see that as
it's pretty big. It's pretty big. Nicaea 1, which we're celebrating the 800th anniversary of the First Ecumenical Council. That was a top 3 agenda item to figure out. We all need to be one and witness the resurrection of the God man on the same flippin' day, guys. Okay. Yeah. And so that's where the calculation that the East and, not just the Greek Orthodox or Antiochian or whatever have you, this is also the calculation that you have the Coptic people, this Eastern Syriac, the Malkar Indian Christians, they are using the formula laid out by Nicaea 1. This is not majoring in the minors. This is like this is like if you have the family reunion and your aunt thought that the family reunion was a week in advance. She shows up to the park with her potato salad and it's fly food, it's done for. Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, I just think that it's interesting to think about what that gets people thinking about.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Because like it's kind of it enters into the metagelical space of Google. It kind of says what will then happen? What decisions will be made, and who thinks it's important and why, and who thinks will be like now, like Catholics and this will be really funny because Catholics and Protestants have been celebrating Easter on the same day for thousands of years. What if there's certain Protestants be like, yeah, no, we're not following the Catholics over there.
Well, yeah, well, that's what
it's like.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting.
No, exactly. And that was the case even back when on the Mayflower, like the Reformed folks on the Mayflower, they held to the Julian calendar. And so because anyways, so I won't get into those minor details, but so it's that we're not dealing with a new problem there. But anyways, yeah, it's just we're in an interesting moment, I guess.
Christianity
mainly because Zip released, but also because of Christian civilization, I guess. But
don't worry, we're all we're trying to all be responsible citizens.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, just another thought. I mean, I think like what you guys saying, it makes what was before invisible to a lot of Christians, it makes it visible. Like it illuminates the background in a way that I think is really meaningful and helpful. It just makes me think. I was having a conversation with a coworker this past week. Anyway, I've been kind of on a kick listening to some podcasts about like pre-Christian paganism. Which is just so fascinating to me. Like, just anyway,
yeah.
Because I think to me the really fascinating thing is how Christianity, when it spread west, it occupied all these niches, like these practices that paganism had established, like ancestor worship into veneration of the saints, and the calendar. Like that's a big thing, And I was talking to her about how I was like, well, when we celebrate Easter, like, traditionally that was like a spring pagan festival. And then the Christians decided that it would be when we celebrate the risen Lord. And it was very hard for her to understand that. I don't know where you guys land on that issue, but that idea of like, oh, I mean, this calendar that was once pagan has almost been colonized by Christianity. And even that idea of a calendar, like there is a calendar that pre-existed Christianity that has its roots in paganism. These are all concepts I think most Christians, I mean, me, like 10 years ago, I wasn't thinking about this stuff. So, I mean, what you're talking about, Joseph, it just brings all that up, I think, in a way that'll at least make people think about where we get these dates. And shouldn't all Christians be celebrating the most important Christian holiday on the same day? Like,
right. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, okay, we can celebrate Jesus's birthday on the same day, I guess. But anyways, but I guess just to throw out there, the earliest, I guess, traditions linked the first Easter to March 25th. And Christian gloating here, and that's why the Feast of Annunciation is always celebrated on March. It's fixed to March 25th, the day of Christ's conception, right? Because, anyways, super old traditional statement that Christ was conceived on the same day he was crucified. So that's where that.
And obviously 9 months before Christmas.
Yeah, no, exactly. So a perfect. Well, Christmas is a later feast, I guess. And really, the Annunciation. The reason Christmas is there is because it's 9 months after Annunciation. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Is
Go ahead, Ethan.
you think this is like the bottom of the bungee jump?
I mean, I don't think we can go much further. I mean, we had like 400 years ago, we had like a 30 million people casualty war over fighting over, Catholicism and Protestantism. It's kind of hard to top that. And we've kind of just been on a downward, I guess, spiral since then. But
Well, but we've kind of been stagnating, right?
Yeah, right.
I feel like growing up, it was like
We've been
I'm
coasting.
curious. Yes. So it's like, I wonder, it's like, okay, did we get to the bottom of the bungee jump? And then there's that period of like stagnation. And it's like,
Oh, yeah. Yep.
momentum is shifting.
Yeah.
And like,
yeah.
I mean, imagine if the calendar lines, like, it's like, okay, well, now we live in a world where anything's possible again. And maybe Christians can like get along and not kill each other. Like, that would be cool.
Yeah, right. And largely be, the fragmentation of the Christian world was largely, I hate to say it, it was largely just these cultural, ecclesiastical, national lines, right? That I hate to use the word national, it's kind of anachronistic, but these were subservient to
Talking about majoring on the minors, right?
Right. Yeah. No, but like the breakdown of Christendom. Oh yeah, is actually I it's kind of like the resurrection. It's like it needed to die to I guess get into a glorified state, because there were some major flaws with that body of decay, to use Paul Vanderklate friendly terms.
I would even say, with this conversation I'm having over on Philosophy Portal with somebody who calls himself and identifies as a Christian atheist, that feels like you're like at that bottom, or again, like the snake in the tail. Like, it feels like, okay, where are we at right now? That's what that feels like.
I think the only other place you can find something like that is in like some Dharmic school, or some Buddhist school. But yeah, it's like it's a very robust, I guess, novel idea.
But it also signals, like, think like that snap in a way.
Yeah.
I feel like regardless, because if it's not static, like, I mean, where has that's leading back towards something,
right? It's not just going out with a whimper replaced by AI overlords. It's more like, the only people having children oddly believe in, this God man who appeared in the Middle East, and there's like a rebirth that comes from it.
Luke is doing his damnedest over there.
I think I'm winning.
Luke, 2 sets of twins in 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, when the lady gets past like 30, it's like cheat codes for, higher drop rates of twins. So
I want to
min-maxing life.
I want to engage this. We could let go of institutional religion and be relationally ontological love. And I think, like, I get the sentiment, but I think what's interesting is, like, here at the bottom, what's happening right now is that the conversation is happening at almost at every level of institution. Like, this is like the lowest form of institutional conversation between institutions.
Yeah, this is beneath the Slav guys, talking over a donut or something, like, this is like total bottom of the barrel. Yeah.
But it's also happening at the top. And then even like my conversation I had with Marcus, and he's trying to think about like developing like a C.S. Lewis institution in Ireland. Because, like, what do you do with institution? And I do realize institutions talk to one another. Institutions talk to one another, filled with people, but they talk. There has to be some kind of like, if there's no Christian institution, then like, who talks to each other? and so now I do think there is that level of Christian fellowship that's like, very broad. But anyways, that's just my engagement with that comment.
Yeah, I'm not too hopeful for the sort of I guess like Newport folk festival kind of ecclesiology of like we'll just
Burning
be
Man,
all
Burning Man,
friends.
Burning
Yeah,
Man,
like
Burning
I said, I get the sentiment. It's just how the rubber meets the road when people get together, like these, or I'm planning a class reunion, and all like institution just naturally falls in line with just getting stuff figured out and timing, and just multiply that by 1,000 with a church community. I think I'm hopeful that the old modes of how these institutions operated is definitely going away. Yeah, like even 100 years ago, look at how the Catholic Church was versus how it is today. Same with the Orthodox. I mean, same with the Anglicans. I mean, we're in flux right now.
Peyton loves you. This guy is the greatest.
Dude, it's cause I've got what I need here. I'm cheating. Luke thinks he's cheating with those old ovaries. I've got zip. Okay.
Okay, watch out, boys. The boomers are coming in. Watch out.
The cavalry.
What's up, Mark?
Just taking your slings and arrows and turning them into butterflies.
Poof,
I only spread love. I do love speech like Kanye. Okay.
I wasn't trying to throw any slings and arrows. But.
No, I'm teasing.
He was talking to me because I wasn't ontologically relationality correct with him.
Actually, I'm with you. I'm always looking up these. What's that word again? I can never remember all these words. I'm always going back to the thesaurus or dictionary or both. Or
it's just techno babble, basically.
I'm curious though, what how on earth was the Catholic Church better 100 years ago?
No. I said different. Sorry, I didn't say better. I think it's better now than it was 100 years ago.
Okay, so it seemed like you were implying the opposite. Okay.
Oh no. I'm not a rad trad. Vatican I set of a Acontis guy. Don't worry there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then do you really think calendars are going to bring rechurch the society?
Well, it's it's a pretty dang good place to start is if you wanted to do I think at the end of the day liturgy is what grounds society in everything. The whole world is grounded and flows out from the liturgical practice, and I think getting on the same page of when we worship and what we worship is a pretty important stepping stone for unity there.
Well, as I said in the comments, the only Nicene church movement that's currently growing net numbers are Pentecostals. The Mormons are growing, but they're not Nicene.
Yeah, but that's largely that. Yeah, but I mean,
and they don't really do calendars.
Well, yeah, you look at the Pentecostals, and it's largely. Correct me if I'm wrong. But my understanding is it's largely siphoning, disenfranchised individuals from established national churches, be it Catholic or, Lutheran or whatever. These are sort of very recent timescales that we're working with here, and Yeah, especially in Mormonism. Oh my goodness, that is hemorrhaging pretty bigly. Their birth rates are good, but long term it's a losing game. It's a dead end street, and it's not going anywhere. I can guarantee you that.
I would say something like the numbers don't tell the whole story, because you always have this issue of quality and quantity, and they do tell part of the story. And they might tell a big part of the story, but you could do qualitative researches versus quantitative research, and that's even like baked into like looking. And so before, like say if going back to Ethan's bungee cord metaphor, like at that point you may actually, I think I just saw, speaking of the numbers though, I just saw that like something leveled out this past year. Like it didn't, for the first time, actually, I think maybe Protestantism didn't decrease year over year. And so I don't remember where I saw that. No, can't cite it. But, when you see things happen culturally, there's always a lag behind on those numbers. And the other part about, I read an article, I think Aaron Wren posted, that was saying possibly that Catholicism is like aimed, and maybe Orthodox, I think Orthodoxy in a certain way is aimed itself at Protestantism.
In the apologetical sphere,
Yeah.
totally.
Like,
that's a losing game.
And so that is also like numbers that are shifting. And again, like the people that are, looking for maybe some version of depth. What if they're not looking to win, but they're looking for depth, then they're going to find that kind of stuff. But then there's like, the bell curve of reality. And the reason the calendar thing is interesting, because imagine that the Pentecostal, whoever's planning Pentecostal Easters next year, imagine, so it's hypothetically this thing happens and they don't follow what the Catholics and the Orthodox do. It will just be really interesting to see what that means. I just think that would be really, really interesting. And if everyone does like randomly fall in line onto a unified date, that would actually say something. And it'll also say something if it's like the opposite. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just babbling now.
Well, what about it seems that why I said it's majoring on the minors is it seems like you're pedestalizing Christ as opposed to where this is why I think Pentecostalism succeeds, is that it's very much about encountering living Christ in your here and now lived experience. It's not pushing him up and out. It's very much about bringing him down amongst us and within, and recognizing or turning our awareness towards that. And that's probably why it succeeds. And it's also a poor people's religion. It's not a religion of the intellect, Pentecostalism. That's why it succeeds in prisons. That's why it succeeds in amongst the poorest of the poor in the underdeveloped world and so on.
Yeah, you're right on the money there, Mark. The problem with Pentecostalism, though, is being the poor man's religion or the low IQ religion. I hate to say that, but it's just statistic. Is that isn't the whole scope of the human experience, and in a bounded, I guess, like legitimized tradition, like Catholic, like Orthodox, like even old Protestantism, there is this structure and this order that enables that direct experience and relationality with Christ that you're saying is the guiding principle in Pentecostalism that has always been a present feature of the liturgical arts of these well-established traditions. I think we have kind of recency bias with Pentecostalism because it's hit so many people, especially the baby boomer generation that grew up with a very sterile liturgical environment, and it was just like, all right, we just go here into these pews, and it's like the most unintentional thing ever. Whereas a Pentecostal service is just smacked full with experience that was previously devoid in these churches.
Well, and I don't want to trash. I'm not trashing on liturgy. In fact, if I'd say right now, as it stands, in 5 years, it's probably a 60-40 chance that I'm Catholic. Okay. So that, but on the other hand, if I don't think I would be leveling up, I would think that I'm just finding my place, my right place in the kingdom in that process. I'm not. I think that's what I'm concerned about. I don't want. I know you guys are good natured and not.
Are you worried
malicious.
about triumphalism? Like a triumphal?
Sounded a bit like that. I mean, some of the tone was you guys. I mean, it was just.
Well, I mean,
but
the
wherever
thing,
you go in
the
Christianity.
the thing is, though, I guess if we're talking about Christianity as a whole, triumphant, or are we talking about the high traditions as triumphant? Because Luke is non-denominational, Ethan doesn't go to church, and I'm Protestant, and so there's still.
Well, Joseph came in with both barrels blazing.
Well, do you know why? It's because I
He
unzip
always
my
does.
mind with Zip here. That's why.
Are you smoking it now? Is that
No. This is all approved by Dr. Ray Pete. It's all PD ingredients.
The thing
so
about
we're
Joseph
good.
coming in barrels
Coming in
blazing is
hot.
because Joseph and I have a ontological relationality.
Yeah.
It's a friendship.
Yeah, we're not
So
from
he
Wisconsin.
Felt safe that
so.
he felt safe that he could come in guns blazing with me.
Fair enough.
But like, the thing about the Pentecostal, charismatic versus, even within the high traditions, Anglicanism, Catholicism, there are charismatic streams in those traditions. The other piece about it that I've thought for a long time is that both in charism and in if you get deep into sacramental theology, you're talking about the same thing that you hit on, Mark, which is a real encounter with God in Christ through his Holy Spirit, however it all happens, And so I think that different people are finding that way, maybe intellectually, people are finding that way experientially, like through the different mediums. But that if you kind of go into more of a philosophical view on both of those things, or a psychological view on both of those things, kind of both are seeking that in their communities in worship. And so I think, to me, that is actually trying to get on board that boat. To me, is the important one about, is God real? Is the gospel true? Can we know him in our, like you said, in our lived experiences here and now? And things like the charismatic movement and like deep sacramental realities are psychologically representative of like a real connection to God. So, that's where I kind of see those things coming together.
Okay, I'd like to make a clarification because Ethan doesn't go to church yet.
No,
will be
he's just
going to
grifting
church.
online. He's trying to get attention. I converted by AI.
Listen, man, Grok
maybe I'm
has
going to go
sent me-
Orthodox. Maybe I'll go Catholic. Let me just milk the views. That's what he's doing.
I and Grok are one.
Yeah. You have a house church with you and Grok.
If you've seen me, you have seen Grok.
I can at least attest to his
Correct.
corporeality.
Yeah,
Thank you, Matt.
Just like
Ethan will
That's-
attend
that
whatever
doesn't
church
mean that
he's
you're
on
not
the
a
same floor
fan.
he is.
but you do have a human body.
Oh, y'all got to meet. Yeah, y'all met in real life. Skankenstein, how are you doing tonight, man?
Yes, sir. So yeah, no, just got back from, or on my way back from beer with Ethan and one Afriel Pilotson, and got a call from a buddy of mine whose car blew up on the side of the road, and by car I mean like family heirloom he rebuilt with his dad. So had to go immediately drop everything and go spend a little time sitting with him because it's devastating. So now I'm on my way back from that, trying not to crash my car in the rain. / get another ticket for driving while cell phoning.
Oh, be careful.
That's why.
Any other thoughts, guys? Christianity and transition. I think that the calendar was a great addition to that idea, and to me it lands into the metagelical space of what's going to happen with that idea. What's going to
happen with intentionality around pursuing the highest? Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Anybody else got any kind of like thoughts they want to wrap in tonight for this lively stream?
I just think it's going to be more and more about what Ethan brought in. I think the AI thing is just, it's going to hit us like a deluge, and it's going to, I mean, we're within 3, 4, 5 years of it just washing over everything, so that it'd be hard to predict how it's going to impact us all. But that's the challenge, and I'm not really sure. I think it's really going to be our compassion and the communities, the quality of our communities that will help us thrive or die in that new environment. I'm not really sure about our institutions.
Yeah, I think that that intersection with AI is for the propositional, it's gonna, I think it is going to lead people into different parts of the church, like and even this question about the calendar, like that's going to unlock questions for even more people on the average spectrum of interest in this stuff. And then they're going to all of a sudden be down a rabbit trail, and they're going to be like, what should I do? Oh man, I think those are all things that are going to happen more. And the thing to be ready for the deluge is the communities that are deeply grounded in deep faith. And kindness.
Yeah. Could it be just as simple as kindness?
Well, I don't know. I'm
sorry. I'm calling the hippie bluff. It can't just be grounded in kindness. It's got to be. It's got to be participatory.
Micah 6:8. Micah 6:8.
I'm sorry. Vermont.
Yahweh has already told you.
Micah 6:8, bro.
Go to Vermont. Go to these 98% Anglo white places that are kind. There's no greater unity than that.
There's a difference between being nice and being kind. And kindness has something to do with hospitality. And even if you invite somebody into your home, there's sometimes you can still be offended if somebody, now how you treat that person, but being nice is in spite of your maybe being offended, but you don't really like them, but you might still be nice to them.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
different.
I mean, it's a disposition. It's a virtue. It's how you do the core things, but it's not sufficient to be a core. I mean, if you don't have kindness, there's nothing, but it's not the end all be all.
And kindness isn't even a cardinal virtue. I really don't know why we're talking about it.
Yeah, I'd say
Micah 6:8. Micah 6:8.
It's not.
Read it.
But
read the book. It's in the book.
But it's not a cardinal
I
virtue.
feel like if it's saying kindness, that's probably we're gonna go Hebrew on our butts. I'm guessing it's covenant, fidelity, loving kindness, chesed.
Loving kindness, love kindness.
Yeah.
I mean,
do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with your God.
Self-emptying. It's self-emptying love. That's the.
But that has to take a form. That has to take a form.
Yeah.
You can do that anywhere, and we should. But I guess what does that mean for the worshiping spirit, for the worshiping people or person? What does that mean? I think that is a disposition towards the world, but it doesn't coalesce people. Let's all get in a room together and be kind.
Go learn what this means. I desire mercy, not
Hey.
sacrifice. I mean, what's this
That's
is?
not answering my question.
I
though.
mean,
But
What
hey,
is
I don't
worship?
feel like
finish
sacrifice,
the
though.
psalm. Finish the psalm, because then you'll accept the sacrifice. Okay, the sacrifice is not necessary, but it still happens. That's
The
end of
sacrifice
psalm.
is
And
on the cross.
isn't I desire mercy, not sacrifice in Hosea, which is all about costly fidelity to somebody who's unfaithful to you.
Yep.
Which is worship is what you do, how you are, who you be. I really don't know what worship is if it's not embodied in my nature. If I am not by nature, if I am not incarnating Christ, whatever I do with regard to what we call worship in liturgy is lying, is a lie. It's a hypocrisy. I must abide in Christ and be Christ in the world to even worship him in truth.
That's true.
Right. That's after the liturgy. It's all one big continuance. So you go to liturgy, and then you come out and you continue that beauty that you just.
Yeah, because what is to gather, to commune with one another, to commune with God, and to commune with one another. Like I said, get into the room and do what? Have conversation. Get in the room and so it's something that what we do with our attention in that time and space together that helps form and shape and enact that proposition of Micah 6:8. So that in relationship, and say get 100 people in the room and say, all right, do whatever do whatever you want to commune with God. All right, everybody go do that.
What's the difference between a Quaker worship service meeting? Do they even call? They don't call them worship services, it's just a meeting. And say a very high liturgy, Latin Mass or something. The highest possible.
There's still order.
I think the presence of God. I've been in, and I've not been in the Latin Mass, but I've been in pretty everything else, and it seems like I can't tell a difference. I mean, the Spirit of God can be in both places. In all these extremes. I've not noticed a difference.
Yeah, can I put like a meta-modern framing on this? So I think just from what I've gathered from like these meta-modern conversations is we are entering a time when it's like we have multiple truth centers, and I get frustrated because conversations can devolve into, well, which liturgy is right, which Christian tradition's right, and I honestly think we're entering a world where they can all be true, because it's about the communion with the divine and communion with each other. I think that's the point, honestly. And it's like, it's not some kind of, I don't know, we're all touching the elephant. I mean, I'm really trying to draw a distinction between this kind of Unitarian Universalist perspective on it, where it's like, it's all the same thing, you say Yahweh, I say Allah, whatever. But I think there's a way in which we can recognize that these traditions are all, on some, like, at their best, they are allowing someone to participate in the divine, to commune with God, and on that higher level, commune with the saints and other Christians. And we want to get to that point, and we can approach it from different angles. So I think that's the framing I have.
Yeah, I just say that like conflating like a disposition of Micah 6:8 to like trying to figure out how to gather people together to worship God are kind of two different things. Not that they aren't a part of one another, but the question of what do you do with your body and with one another is not solely just a disposition of like, just a disposition of how you relate to another human, but we're talking about worship. And so to Luke's point, that takes a lot of different forms, and how people approach that time in that space, like, is probably like the more important reality to a degree, and it's going to take on different forms. It's going to lead people into different places, but like the approach, like our attention and our personal care towards that communion in those different forms is probably very important, but it's hard to kind of tie those two ideas together.
I think Hezzy's over here like laughing to himself because he's going, the Christians are finally learning to midrash. They're finally
These
learning.
Gentiles.
They're all pointing at
These Goyim got
God,
it figured out.
And God's big enough to hold all of us in his arms, and there can be some chaos over here and some order over there. And it's going to be the task of metagelicals to like, how do you balance chaos and order? How do you balance liturgy and speaking in tongues?
Yeah, I like that.
I assure you, it's not by more Jay Dyer videos.
Jay Dyer.
Oh man.
Well, Tayo's got me beat. I thought I'd seen it all. I've never been to a meeting led by a woman who prays to demons. So I haven't seen it all. I repent. I've not seen it all.
Well, guys, I've got to kind of wrap things. We're getting to the end of my time tonight, but any final thoughts from anybody? I'm glad people have come and hanging out.
I just hope we see Luke's garden after all this work here.
Is that what he's been doing?
You'll only get shots from the greenhouse. Sorry.
Oh, that Luke. Yeah. Shots.
Find my Instagram. Luke
yeah.
Free Person on Instagram. You can find plenty of garden pics.
There you go.
Got the 3-year-olds helping me. They helped plant potatoes last week.
Oh,
Pretty
cute.
fun. Yeah.
That's very cool, Luke. Yep.
Anybody else? Mark had to come in and represent the House of Woo. He had to. He had
You
to.
guys named me like 3 times. Wasn't that the Beetlejuice thing?
I thought I was being very kind in my name.
You were. No, this I've been. Oh, no. You. This was a mild. Yeah, this was no big deal. It was
Cool.
No, you were nice. It was just those rude, nasty Minnesotans.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's rich. That is real rich, man. There's like out of over half of the counties in America that are on the top percentile for drinking. It's like there's one county, and I happen to live in that county in Minnesota. All the other counties are in Wisconsin. It's Sodom and Gomorrah past the Mississippi, guys.
Sounds like you want to move to Wisconsin. Sounds like you're trying it out, trying that little taste of drunkenness in Minnesota. The little picture of Wisconsin.
No, it's a constant war. It's warfare out here. So,
Fun
Are you
time.
still driving an hour to church?
no, I'm not. I'm not. That is old news there. So.
Oh yeah, you got some. You got a church closer?
Yeah,
Do you?
Well, Ethan, he DM'd me, prior to me joining here, and he kind of convinced me to, do the house church grok kind of route. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm hearing everything I want to hear. No one's challenging me on anything, so it's great. No drama either.
No drama.
Yeah.
Wow. Joseph's been on a bender tonight, having everybody in stitches.
No, it's only a 45-minute drive now. Thank you very much.
Listen, Zephaniah 3:9, who's got it? It's from, as we've been poorly midrashing, Zephaniah 3:9. I don't have.
We needed some Jewish representation in here. I wanted
Well-
we needed some Jews in here.
The young Levite has served us in the comments. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for everyone for coming on, and we're gonna. Don't forget Philosophy Portal if you want on. Well, I'll do all the grifting. I'm going to kick everybody off. I'll do some grifting as we shut down. All right, bye, guys. So yeah, Philosophy Portal channel, YouTube channel membership, $4.99. If you catch the very back end of this stream, Midwest Estuary coming up in August, and yeah, thanks for everyone hanging out tonight. This has been a lot of fun.
Midwestuary 2025, August 22nd through the 24th in Elmhurst, Illinois. A weekend you won't want to miss with special guests Cale Zeldin, Paul Vanderklay, Rod Dreer, Elizabeth Oldfield, John Vervaeke, and Jonathan Pajot. Midwestuary 2025, the Fellowship of the Spirit. Stay tuned for more details. Visit us at midwestuary.com for ongoing updates.
Hi, this is Christian Baxter, and you're listening to Yours Truly, a place we go to think out loud.